Good afternoon and welcome to the latest edition of the Married with Children documentary, Ladies of Married with Children. The girls of Married with Children appeared over the 11 seasons of the classic TV Fox sitcom, which really put Fox on the map on the 80s and 90s. It was a global phenomenon, especially at time airing in the USA. It showed and cable viewers each episode pulled in massive sort of ratings, and it was a family household thing that everyone would sit down for the week's edition of Married with Children. This week, as we look back on the 11 seasons, we go back nearly to the right beginning. We go back to season 2, episode 12, and the episode was called Earth Angel. The character was Tiffany, and the actress was the one and only Dawn Merrick. And we're delighted to be joined by Dawn here today. And I suppose, Dawn, I know you've gone on to other aspects into your career, and you've gone on to other sort of different routes that has taken you outside the acting genre as such. But when someone says to you, Married with Children, just to bring back all the nostalgia, the sort of feelings and the emotions of that time when you were, I suppose, a promising actress and getting that break like so many actresses did starting off in Married with Children.
Yeah, it was a great time. And anytime someone mentions it, actually, every time I watched Modern Family and saw Ed, it was like, oh my God. It was like being right back on the set of Married with Children, even though it was a completely different show. Every time I saw him, I was like, oh, I know him.
And I suppose, Dawn, I suppose, were you in Los Angeles at the time? Were you trying to be an actress? Had you hired yourself a talent agent? How did the opportunity for you to get cast in Married with Children come about? Can you recollect?
Well, actually, like many, I was a classically trained dancer, and I was in Los Angeles doing TV specials and studying dance and doing, at the time, music videos all the time. And I happened to be on, at the time I got Married with Children, I was a series or a contract player on a soap opera called General Hospital. Okay. So I was squeezing in auditions where I could that would hopefully not conflict with my schedule at General Hospital, and Married with Children came up, and it was just a great opportunity. So I was very happy.
I was speaking to a few of the actors, and they tell me that audition process, when you walk into the room to be cast as a lady in Married with Children, that you have, the room is filled with sort of glamorous sort of ladies of all description trying out for that sort of role. I suppose that can be a sort of a bit intimidating for a young actress, because you know probably only one is going to be picked, and maybe 40 or 50 in the room are going to be going home. It's almost like the X Factor as such to get on that sort of episode.
It was, and for me especially, because I was squeezing it in between another commercial audition for a very conservative product. So I wasn't dressed appropriately for the audition, and they saw beyond that, thankfully, and had me come back, and it was nice.
Yeah, and I suppose the character sort of Tiffany, she reminds me of the girl next door sort of character. Elijah Kubert played it there recently in a movie called Superbad. That sort of innocent, sort of sweet childhood sort of character that does be in every sort of a village. But lo and behold, I suppose she meets let's say the bad apple, the Bart Simpson of just Chicago in Bud Bundy, and no doubt he's a father Homer in Al Bundy, that's for sure.
Yeah, it was fun. Bud was great. He was about, I want to say he was only like 12 or 11 when we did the show, and he was just awesome to work with.
And I suppose that
is great. I barely want my own. Now I got another runny-nosed little...
Mom, Dad, this is Tiffany.
Welcome home, Tiff.
Al, this is not what I expected.
Peg, this is not a present for you. It's for Dad. From a Relax. Sit down. You want anything? Like coffee, water?
An old man drooling on you?
This is Peg. This is probably the last time you'll see her. Peg, this must be boring you, but take your mom to the movies.
Let her go by herself, Dad. I found her.
So, Tiffany, tell us a little something about yourself.
What Peg means is, where are you from? What are your plans? When did you stop wearing a bra?
Well, I'm from San Francisco, and I'm on my way to New York to go to art school. And I don't like bras. They're too constricting, don't you think?
Get out.
Now, Peg, she's got no place to go. Bud, get some sheets and a blanket for the couch so your mother will be comfortable. No, I meant so Tiffany can be comfortable. It's so easy to get you two confused.
You sure it's okay?
Positive!
Definitely.
Well, thank you. I'll just change for bed then.
Isn't that cute? She's walking.
Dawn, in terms of that arriving on the set in Married with Children, from the time that you arrived, were you given the sort of 5-star treatment in terms of wardrobe, in terms of getting ready, in terms of food, in terms of the whole everything that goes to be on the set, in terms of being a guest actor? Were there numerous sort of outfits for you to try on before your final outfit was selected for the Tiffany?
Well, that's a good question. And as you may or may not be aware, on a sitcom, it's like doing a little play. It's done in 1 week. You have the read through, and then every day there's a little bit more rehearsal, and they squeeze in the wardrobe along the way. And when you're actually rehearsing on the set, there are monitors that the execs can see, so they would phone down notes and things like that, and they would change something up. But everyone was very welcoming and very it was a great really casual, easygoing set to be on.
I suppose, Dawn, I won't describe your character because I don't think she came across as a ditzy sort of blonde. She came more across as an innocent, more very sort of innocent, gullible, sort of naive, sort of a loving character that was probably a bit too innocent for the Bundy's menaces. And I suppose when you arrive into the Bundy household, when Bud brings you back, Al sits you down, he says, "Where are you from? What are your plans? And when did you stop wearing a bra?" And we sort of wait in for your sort of character's sort of reaction. Would you sort of get offended by that in terms of the comment? But you just take it in your prompt, "Oh, I'm from San Francisco on the way to New York to art school, and I don't like bras. They're too constricting now, don't you think?" And you sort of smile with that sort of playing off that sort of witty humor, but straight away it sort of sets the sort of tone for you that in terms of you find sort of nothing sort of offensive, and you're sort of calm with your sort of appearance as sort of such. And it almost feels that Al feels, well, this is a sweet sort of naive, innocent young girl that maybe he could sort of secretly take advantage of.
Oh, I'm not sure about that, but yeah, it was the kind of thing that you know, getting offended by that comment, it just kind of went over her head. She just didn't realize. The character just didn't realize, you know, exactly what was being said. She's very literal and very like, "Oh no, this is what it is," and you know. So and I think a lot of that has to do with I do have to attribute that to how you know, how they made me feel on the set. They were very, very nice and welcoming, and everything was great. Just a great set to work on.
And I suppose, Dawn, in between takes, I suppose there's so many one-liners and great one-liners in that episode, and sort of punchlines and gags. I suppose, was it very hard to keep a straight face when you're there with sort of David Garrison, who played Steve Rhodes, and Ed O'Neill, and very much because they were sort of making out a sort of a betting wager for all your daily activities, from your aerobics to your sunbathing to your jogging and a weekly sort of a package as well, which was €40 plus popcorn, and you get a free lottery ticket as well, Elle said. When you hear sort of content like that, I suppose, as a young actress and probably a first time, and you're coming from a more serious team, say General Hospital, as you said, a more sort of serious team, when you're coming on that sort of comic relief, is it very hard to keep a straight face? Are you trying to keep it all there? Because obviously you get those one-liners as well, I imagine.
We had great fun on the set. Everyone was so, especially between takes. It was a bit of a challenge to keep a straight face, but you know, when the cameras roll, everyone gets into their character and does their job. But in between, it was just a lot of fun. We had a lot of joking around and a lot of back and forth, and you know, the guys were really great overall, I have to say. So it was really a nice experience. And I didn't quite realize the impact of the show that I was on at the time until later.
Yeah, and I suppose that's an interesting point you bring up, Dawn, because you were on at season 2, I suppose, episode 12, and it was just really growing in that stage of popularity. I suppose season 3, season 4, it sort of went up and it sort of began to skyrocket. I suppose by season 7, it was nearly in every home in the United States. So when you so you probably didn't really have that sort of nervous tension arriving on set, because you just looked at a wannabe sort of comedy that's trying to make its way and make a breakthrough. And I suppose actresses that came on in season 9 or season 10, I suppose it was probably they were dealing with Ed O'Neill and Christine Applegate, who were probably national stars at that stage.
Yeah, that is an interesting point. What I do remember, because you're right, it was quite a while ago, but I do remember it being a very popular show. And very, you know, it was one of the sitcoms that you know, when the audition came over, it was like, oh, okay. It was getting a lot of buzz. And I actually had a good friend of mine who wrote Something About Mary. So he knew his way inside and outside of comedy. And he was like, oh, that is the best written show on television. I kind of had a little different dialogue going on in my ear before I think the rest of the country did, in terms of how spectacular the show was and what the potential was. And then I don't think I'm telling tales out of school here. I don't know. I was so impressed with Ed O'Neill because he's a classically trained Shakespearean actor. And here he is on the set of Married with Children, just, comedic timing is like being tall. You either are or you're not. You either have it or you don't. And Ed was, everybody on that show, the chemistry and the comedic timing was just amazing to be a part of.
And I suppose, Dawn, one thing that sort of struck.
Thanks, Al. Well, I hear Louise calling.
Yeah, Sheila's always ready. Maybe I won't remember what she looks like.
Fanny should still be in bed. Oh, well, I guess I can pretend the crumbs are sand and we're at the beach. Yeah.
Well, Al, thanks for letting me work in the yard.
Hey, Al! What's going on? I get home to all these cars parked on my lawn.
I seen doing my research there about the Tiffany sort of character, and some of the comments was her appearance, how tan she was looked in terms of this. Were you in sort of, what time did you arrive and say, did that tan go on the day of the actual sort of shoot, or was it reapplied or sort of such? Because you was a sort of a bronze-like appearance.
I honestly don't remember, but you're right. When I catch, sometimes I have insomnia and occasionally I flip channels, and once or twice I catch myself in the middle of the night on that show. And you're right, I was really tan. And my guess, knowing myself, is that I probably went and had that done.
Okay.
Because I don't think I between the schedule at General Hospital and trying to get on that, trying to do Married with Children, I wasn't spending much time at the beach. So, but I forgot about that, and I truly don't remember. But you're right, I didn't think about that until you mentioned it. But I must have had that. I must have done that artificially. Sorry to say.
Okay. And I suppose, Dawn, in terms of working in Married with Children, your character actually, first of all, she sparks hatred in terms of Peggy Bundy, Katie Segal. She sort of looks down at Al's admiring glances at her in terms of Tiffany. But obviously, then when Al finds her attractive, he sort of takes that. His urges out on Peggy in terms of his lust for yourself, and that almost sort of puts you her in our good book. So you see that sort of friction and love, sort of hate relationship sort of blossom between yourself and Peggy until Marcy ruins it all.
Well, Marcy throws a wrench in the whole thing. That's correct. Yeah, it was, you know what? It was really knowing how the comedy of Peg and Al's relationship and that dynamic within the show, and then having her have such a different reaction and opinion was really kind of fun. It was really a good place to be.
And I suppose, Dawn, in terms of Married with Children, I suppose there's never been really a reboot of it. There's never really been a film as such. Do you think it's because people look at franchises like that in terms of, whoa, 11 seasons, that's gold, that's platinum. We don't sort of touch that in case we don't sort of do it justice. And people are afraid to sort of touch something which people find so sacred in terms of they might rebel against it, that they mightn't start to take to a new sort of version. And do you think maybe what Married with Children did will always be, there's been nothing similar to it in terms of what it brought to TV, no sort of families similar as such. So do you think it's a case of what's not broken, don't try and fix it?
You know, I'm not really sure. I certainly personally, when I would think about any kind of reboot of a show like that, that would occur to me, like when they talk about rebooting Friends or something. It's like, I don't know. But I think the actors went on to do different things, and I don't know if it's a matter of schedule. I don't know if it's a matter of timing. Certainly the climate in Hollywood now is less tolerant of that type of show, I think. Maybe they got away with some things then that maybe wouldn't go over so big now. But I do certainly think that there's always the possibility, because the chemistry is there. And if the right script came along, or the right director, or the right timing, who knows? Maybe they'll do a recap or a reboot or a reunion show or something, because it is such a piece of American culture that, it would be nice to see something come of it.
And I suppose, Dawn, you are one of the fraternities in terms of Married with Children, the ladies of Married with Children. It's a special fraternity as such. Just looking through some of the actresses, Tiffany Thiessen, Denise Richards, Mila Jovovich, Krista Allen, Pamela Anderson, Elizabeth Kiefer, Jennifer Lyons, Shayna Wall. I mean, the list goes on and on and on of people who have gone on to major things in the industry, have appeared in sort of Married with Children. So it's a elusive sort of list of female entertainment stars. How happy are you in terms of you, when you look back in your career in the acting business, that you were a part of Married with Children, and even to this day, maybe 30, 35 years, 40 years on, that people get to see reruns of your episodes all over the world, dubbed in different languages, in Argentina, to Nigeria, England, Germany, where it's absolutely huge, in Germany, France and Spain as well, and dubbed in so many different languages, people seeing a young Tiffany all over again for the first time. Does that fill you with a great sense of pride?
It actually does. It's kind of, it was a little hard at first, but it's actually come around, and there's been a couple of times, just because I don't live anywhere near California now, and I'm not in any sort of entertainment aspect of the business. And I had a couple of years ago, I had a young colleague come up to me and say, I think I saw you on television, but you work here. were you on that show? They just looked completely bewildered. And then I think I got the biggest kick of all, actually this past holiday, my nephew has a son who's about 8. And he came up to me at Christmas and he said, "You were on TV. My mom showed me." It's just so funny because it's so out of their realm of like, what? How did you get on television? It's just kind of, it's very heartwarming to see people's reactions and to see, you know, because it's such a different thing for them if they don't know me that way.
And I suppose, Dawn, one final question now before I let you go on is one to finish off all these interviews on. Let's pretend there was a Married with Children encyclopedia as such. And in terms of actresses and actors, guest fictional characters that have appeared on the sitcom throughout the 11 seasons, and they put your character, Tiffany, in the encyclopedia. And let's say someone got in contact with someone who knew you and rang you up and said, "Listen, we're doing a Married with Children encyclopedia. Tiffany's going into the encyclopedia. We've left 2 blank sentences underneath her name. You've portrayed the character Tiffany. We would like you to write those 2 sentences to describe her." What would you like those 2 sentences to read?
Tiffany is a artistic soul who pursued her dream and was grateful for all the help along the way, including her stay at the Bundy family.
On that note, Dawn Merrick, an absolute pleasure talking to you today to relive your memories of playing Tiffany and Married with Children episode. Do watch it again, folks. Earth Angel, season 2, episode 12. You are one of the ladies of Married with Children. You're in that special fraternity, and for the moment, Dawn, we wish you all the best in a prosperous sort of 2021 in these challenging times. And hopefully, please God, over the weeks you can sit down and relive your episode and chuckle and bring back some of those memories of Tiffany back into your life.
Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure. Have a wonderful, good luck to you in 2021.
Cheers. Take care, Dawn.
All
Pleasure
right.
talking to you.
Bye-bye.